Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another night of Owatonna High School Wrestling, the iPodcast here with Coach Johnson, and I'm Larry Houghton. We got some big visitors coming in tonight.
We do. Kicking off a brand new season.
Yeah, I want to welcome everybody to Season 2, Episode 1. It's a big one.
It is.
It's good that you got to go in again this year.
Yeah, we left it at a cliffhanger at the end of spring. Mm-hmm. And so now we get to, 2 people will die during this episode. I'm just letting you know. So it's going to be real. So yeah, it's going to be back.
Well, if anybody's interested in being a sponsor, we could always use that. We don't have one right now, but we sure could use somebody out there. So anybody that would be interested in something like that, I think you got a couple guys on the line. But
yeah, yep.
So just wanted to bring that up.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, we're back at it. So glad to see you back, Coach.
Yes. How was your off season? What'd you do during the off season? You've got to talk about that a little bit.
Sure. Well, I learned my kids' names again at home. So I'm definitely Devin and Natalie. Dad loves you. Just kidding, Drake and Nora. So, no, and Drake was always a big helper. Loved popping in the weight room with us. So we had the weights going all off season, and the 2 guests we have on today are testaments to that.
Good.
Big, strong wrestlers. And then one thing we rolled out this fall for captain's practice was we had the regular high school captain's practice, but then we had a middle school one for an hour before that, coached by your son, Coach Gabe Hovden. Yeah. So he did a great job, heard nothing but good things, and it really got those youngsters energized and pumped because, for a little bit they're training right alongside the high schoolers. They see what that looks like. They're getting some of that technique from Coach Hovden.
It's kind of funny when he stopped in to let me know what's going on. He'd be shaking his head the first couple of days. He thought, oh, my. By the end of the season, or end of that season, I guess you want to call it, he was pretty impressed the way these kids worked hard.
Absolutely.
He knew how to work now.
Absolutely. Well, and I think total he counted them up one day. So between the high school and the middle school, we had over 30 kids.
Good.
So, I mean, that's great to see that they're not that we want one sport athletes or anything like that, but we just want to make sure that, when November rolls around, when it's time for real practice, that we're not scaring anybody off. They're starting to, kind of ramp up into wrestling practice, into wrestling shape.
It doesn't hurt to be stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was great to see.
Yes.
But
all right, you had successful training for weight training and successful practices in the junior high practice and then in the off season. So that's good that some of these kids are doing that. I'm sure they were in their other sports, but you can always do 2 sports, and I always said they should do 2 sports, so you don't get bored with one.
Absolutely.
That always worked good for me.
Yep. Absolutely. And, it's showing in our participation both at the high school and the middle school as far as kids coming out that haven't before or haven't in a long time. And so at both of those levels, we're seeing, word of mouth is working out there. And at football, at lacrosse, at soccer, wherever it is, we're getting some of these kids back in. So that's cool to see.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the high school wrestling teams, the JV and the varsity. Season starts where?
It starts this Friday with 9th grade team going up to Eastview. So that'll be a good look at some of our freshmen and kind of ramp them up into the next day, which then is our first varsity dual tournament. And then JV has an individual tournament that day, all at Coon Rapids at their giant field house up there.
Wow, that's December 2nd on Friday and December 3rd on Saturday.
Yep. So we're pumped for that. The Hastings is going to be there. Eden Prairie, who's also ranked. Princeton's in the lean and mean. So, I believe we start with Princeton, and then we have Hastings second round, and then finish with Coon Rapids.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have a good tournament. You go through all 3 of them, you're going to know you wrestled a few matches.
Right. Yeah, it'll wake us up for sure.
I remember those teams between Eden Prairie, was it Eden Prairie you said?
Eden Prairie's up there. Yep.
And Coon Rapids, those two teams always got tough wrestlers.
Yeah.
I'm not real familiar with Princeton, but they must have somebody must be promoting it through the youth, and now they're in 9th grade. They must be doing well.
Yeah, they have quite a few kids ranked this year, and they're AA. So.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. But.
All right, our team highlights, Coach.
Well, we have Mr. Cael Robb as our sole senior captain right now, and I get to talk a lot about him, especially behind his back, and none of it's good. And just kidding, it's always good. He is a class act. He's a great student. He's a great leader in the room. 2-time returning state place winner. Finished very, very strong last season. And then, speaking of strong, lifted his butt off and is vaulting up like 5 weight classes for his senior year. So he's ranked number 2 at 160, and he placed 3rd at 132 last year. So, yeah.
You'll be something to reckon with, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Going up those weight classes.
I know. Suddenly I shoot in, and I was last year, the little bit I rolled around with him, I'm a big old guy, so I had to try to lay off of using my size. And this year, suddenly, it's a different story. Now I have to go after it if I'm going to hang with this kid. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You got many years left in you to be able to do that.
Right. Yeah, and then we have Isabelle Townley, returning state place winner, took 3rd last year.
Oh, does she practice right in this room every day?
Yep.
Okay.
She's a beast. She is very hard-nosed, never backs down, goes right alongside. So she's a lower weight, so she's wrestling with the 6, 13, and 20 pounders. So
here you go, girls. If you want to get in here and try wrestling, now's the time.
Yep. Well, and don't be afraid, too. We have a freshman coming out who's a 138 pounder who has wrestled only 1 year before. So she's in here, too. Yeah.
Cool.
And then we were talking a little off air about Murderer's Row.
That's going to be quite a title.
Yep. And
Call it Murderer's Row.
Right. So between 113 pounds and about 160, we should be tough at every single weight no matter what. And we're even deep at those weights. We didn't get much love in the preseason rankings, team or individual. Only Cael Robb ended up getting ranked, but I submitted 4. And I truly believe, we had some seasons cut short last year, or we were just kind of bottlenecked, and now these kids have kind of grown into different weight classes finally. So, we're spreading out to where it's the Jaden Jurleys, Donovan Sorenson, Lane Karsten, Trey Hyatt, Ethan Schubert, Michael Reinardy, Mason Blum, Jack Sorenson, into Cael Robb, and then we even have some young upstarts that are going to be pretty tough in the upper weights too. So.
And we used to have a team that was called Power Alley at the end. Our last 4 or 5 weight classes never lost, and they didn't. They never lost, and I remember the story on that. I was talking to Dale. We were doing a radio broadcasting, and I said, "Man, I'd hate to meet them guys in the alley because they were tough,
Yeah.
And Dale goes, "Yeah, a lot of power there." And I said, "Yeah, I would not want to go into Power Alley." And that's where it started.
I didn't know that because, they were absolutely famous. I mean, it was...
the newspaper guy was right next to me, and he heard it.
Oh, okay.
So he put it was in a paper, and once it got to paper, then everybody knew it.
Can you remind me? I know some of the names. I know like Abrams and Bohr and Gray and View.
Travis View, yep.
Was there... I thought there was like 5, right?
Yep, there's one other one.
Okay.
I'll think of it later.
They were so much fun to watch. I remember them versus Faribault. Those were the ones that I keep talking about, where it was sitting room only for the kids on the gym floor, or whether it was at the Mayo Civic Center for section finals. Like, those were insane matches. That was so cool.
But we had them guys to clean up at the end, and they did.
They did.
All right, back to this year's team.
Well, and so I wanted to highlight a few things because we have some names in the upper class that may ring a bell to wrestling fans that they haven't been around the program for one reason or another. Mostly injury. Like last year, Michael Reinardy, Jr. at 138, was on a tear, was undefeated, was beating a ranked kid at Chanhassen, and then dove for an ankle on a single counter and had a really nasty elbow break and dislocation. It was terrible. And so he was out for the season after that, and that was week 2. And so, yeah, he was on his way to getting ranked. And then Justin Gronli was sidelined by injury. He's slated to be one of our 106-pounders.
Same thing, he had an elbow injury.
Yep, elbow surgery before the season. And then we have Mason Blum, who's going to be on the podcast here shortly.
It's good to hear that name again.
It is, and it is Noah Blum's son.
Yeah, I coached 3 generations of them guys.
Yeah.
So it was fun.
So, he, no matter how many times I carved my name into his vehicle last year and slashed his tires, he just wouldn't come out for wrestling. I don't get it. So, but it's cool to see him back for his senior year.
Here comes the big boys.
Yeah, and then Ethan Anderson, I believe wrestled a little bit through his freshman year and didn't complete that. And then big old football player.
I heard he's tough as a rock.
Yeah, workhorse, and all these kids, I'm just pleasantly surprised they're so coachable and so ready to get down to business. And then Dawson Risser, also a knee injury, and that was football, so it was last fall that put him out for the entire season, so he had to recover from that. But,
Coach is back from last year.
Yeah, so we have Josh Woodrich as our head JV coach, a staple in our room, and able to go with the heavies, which is always nice. And then Coach Tyler Keller's back. So is Coach Mike Meger. And then Coach Derek Skala is back, too. And it's nice to see them in the room some more frequently.
Coaches coming in here.
Yeah. And then back to the program is how I kind of labeled these next 2. We'll have this Doyle Johnson guy on the podcast here shortly. Back in the official coaching ranks. I mean, he coached basically every sport that I was in growing up, and but he was also in the high school and middle school for a long time. And then
he coached with me for a while at McKinley, and then Len at the junior high. So he came on team through.
And then 2002 grad Justin Sorenson, an Augsburg All-American, big, tough, still in crazy good shape wrestler. So he's back in the room too. And that's cool to see. He's we're reaching out. We're trying to get, those able bodies back in the room, and people that also knew what the benchmark is for this program, that went through especially like those the pinnacle years of how we were performing at state year after year and everything. So
okay, we're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back. We'll have the Owatonna Middle School coming up next.
All right, thank you. Deal.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Owatonna High School Wrestling Show, along with head coach Johnson, and now we got a new guy sitting here. I'm Larry Houghton, and who's the new guy, Coach?
Well, this is Mr. Mason Blum. Oh, yeah.
Blum.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah. No, senior year, and all of a sudden, almost immediately after the season, come into the weight room, and there's this Blum kid outlifting everybody, and
good.
All I can think of is, we needed you, man. So it was cool to see. And what kind of, coming out of last year where, as soon as spring hit, it seemed like you were already interested in asking for opportunities. What may have sparked that?
Motivation from my parents. I mean, from freshman year, they told me to come out. After injuries and stuff, I didn't have the motivation I quit all my sports and just fell off.
Sure.
But senior year, I wanted to come back and,
there you go.
try to make a mark.
Yeah. No, that's great. And like I said, you're, so your mom's a big CrossFitter, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And it seems like a lot of that rubbed off on you. You stayed in really good shape.
Yeah, I mean, I started doing it when I was like 10, 11,
Okay.
going to the gym with her, so it kind of just stayed with me up until now.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, I know you're a busy kid. You also work a lot, it seems like, in the off season. Where were you working again?
Cappy's Collision Center.
Yeah, Val Kaplan. Nice.
Big shout out to them.
Yeah, right? No, that's great. And then what was the off season like as far as your preparation? After spring, I kind of pulled back a little bit and let some people take over, so I wasn't kind of around as much until fall again picked up. So what was that like for you, and what were you doing to prepare?
Both my parents work out. We have a gym in the garage, so they have a lifting program.
Yeah.
There you
So
go.
I stuck with that, lifted all the way through summer into fall, and just did their programs. A lot of CrossFit.
Nice.
Yeah, I see your mom every day on a quick trip.
Oh, do you?
Yep, because I work for Sterling Drug, and so we're together.
Yep.
So I see her. I say hi to her a lot. Nice lady.
So, and you have some other family on the team too, correct?
Yep. Trey.
Trey Hyatt.
Hi.
Yeah. Now, I heard some rumblings about possibly having a bet going this year for you.
I didn't hear about it, but
Okay, it was about you making state.
oh,
So yeah, apparently I don't know. Maybe there's money riding on it. I don't, no pressure, but
I mean, hopefully I win.
yeah, right.
Love winning bets, especially against
Absolutely.
him.
And where do you see yourself fitting into the lineup this season?
Your team goals.
Definitely making it to state. That'd be huge for the team, and that's a personal goal for myself, is making it all the way there.
Now, as far as your weight, you're another kid who, as we were talking in the off season, and you said how much you weighed and everything, you're like, so where do you want me at? And you were weighing 145, and I go, cool, 145. You know, like, yeah. How big of a role, I feel like you're at least holding your own against the bigger kids. I mean, we send you up with, Jack, those type of guys. I mean, you're rolling around with Cael sometimes. Like, do you feel like you belong because of your strength and everything?
Yeah, I think strength helps a lot, but, 11 years of wrestling, I still have that technique.
Right.
I just had to get back into the groove, knock the rust off, but, yeah, it's fun rolling around with the bigger guys, for sure.
Well, especially in the middleweights, you're going to see all kinds. You'll see guys that still wrestle, low, quick, like, lightweights, and then you'll have the brawlers come your way too.
Yep.
So,
Let me tell you something about my kids too. You talk about wrestling the weight you're at. That is so much fun to wrestle the weight you're at. You don't have to worry about these guys that are cutting and all that stuff. Some have to cut to make the team, and that's fine. I'm not saying it's bad, but you have a lot more fun if you can go home and have a nice supper after practice every day.
Yeah, definitely.
It'll be a fun season for you at 145.
So what I've seen a little bit out here on the mat, what would you say is like your strengths as far as, different positions, moves, things like that?
I'm pretty strong with my legs, so takedowns come easy. Riding people out, that's pretty easy. I don't know. You definitely need to work on bottom.
Sure. Yeah. Don't we all?
And they got that new way now. I hear that they want them coming out of that bottom position, so where they spin out. Is that what you call it?
Inside stand up.
Inside stand up.
Yeah, it's turning in, it's getting the hips out. Yeah.
Well, it looks like a good move to me.
Yeah. So, do you want to do any shout outs to anyone that may be watching, listening here?
Shout out mom and dad for keeping me motivated, making me wrestle pretty much.
Wow.
Nice. That was very heartfelt. I like that.
Yep. And shout out Alan Kaplan for letting me wrestle.
There you go. Much appreciated. Thank you for letting us borrow him. We appreciate that. So.
Well, now we got to ask the big one. What do you want for music? Walking out.
I don't know. It's
Going
kind of
out to your
undecided
match.
now, but
What's your genre that you're kind of into?
it'll definitely be rock.
Nice.
Definitely be
Good
rock.
choice. Awesome. All right. Well, that sounds good, sir. I appreciate you on here. I really appreciate you coming out this year. Like, I can't say it enough. The kids that we're getting that are coming back out, it's also a pleasure to have you in the room because you're coachable. You're constantly asking questions. Love that curiosity. Love, you taking it seriously, wanting to improve your game and everything like that. So, I want to multiply you. So let's clone you. Let's look into that. So.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you much.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you, Mr.
Yeah.
Bloom and Coach Johnson, and we'll be back with more wrestling right after this break. And we got a new visitor up here, Mr. Cael Robb.
How's it going?
Welcome.
Thank you.
I said it right. I was almost going to call you by your brother's name, but you're going to make your own image this year, your
Yep.
own shadow. You get out of that shadow, whatever they say.
Yep, that's the goal.
Good for you.
Well, and this season's journey did not just start for you, did it? Like, your off-season preparation is kind of unparalleled. What kind of... I feel like you jumped on it right away coming out of last year. Describe kind of what the mindset was, after taking third, coming right out the chute, and it seems like you kind of hit all training hard, like immediately.
Yeah, so right after the season, I basically took a few days off just practice, but I wanted to get as big as possible, and I was like, well, better start sooner than later, so started right away with that. Just right before we started lifting up in the weight room, I was doing my own thing at my house. I got a little home gym, but then I started practicing up at Pinnacle again, and that was 3 times a week. So I had lifting 4 or 5 times a week, and then practice 3 times a week. So, but yeah.
And now you're a monster.
I tell you, I watched my grandson do that last year, senior year, and he turned into a monster, and he made it to state. That was his goal.
Yeah.
So he did well. To get in there and lift really hard, it sounds like you did. Other people are saying it too.
Well, not only that, you showed a lot of leadership. You led by example. You encouraged. It was kind of a foregone conclusion that you were going to be the captain this season, and so far you've really lived up to it and embodied it. I want to thank you for that, and B, it's already paying dividends. Congratulations on committing. I know
Thank
that's
you.
a big relief and excitement at the same time.
Yep.
Where you heading?
The University of Nebraska Kearney. So
Now, do they have a wrestling program?
they're all right.
Just defending
Yeah.
D2 national champions. Yeah,
I think 11 or 12 time national
yeah,
champs.
just
There
a
you go.
juggernaut. You know.
Get on that team.
Have they talked at all about where they see you, weight wise?
Yeah, it's kind of up in the air right now because they say I have the frame to get a lot bigger. So
What do you weigh right now?
right now, now that practice has started, I'm walking around at 162, 163 right now.
Oh, man.
But they want me, I think, anywhere from 157 to, they think I can get up to 174, which would be crazy, but would be cool. So
That would be cool.
yeah.
That's awesome.
You're
That's
fast, too. That helps.
Yeah, that's what they like too. They like
Big boys
that.
always are fast.
Yeah, they like that. I started out as a 106 pounder, small, so I had the speed, and now I'm just growing now, and I keep the speed. So
Awesome. Yeah, and you're rangy. Yeah. So yeah, your frame, that's gonna be nasty.
yeah,
That is awesome. Well, and we are starting our first competitions this week. I'm sure I know you've been thinking obviously on the individual side. What's your goal for the individual side?
obviously state champ. This
Yeah.
year is senior year, so I want to go out with a bang, and where I'm at right now, I feel like I have a great chance of doing that, and I feel confident. So
Yeah. And then for the team, as it's starting to shake out, are you kind of formulating expectations, goals? You do a great job of pushing them. Where do you kind of see it?
yeah, I think we can compete with anyone in our conference and anyone in our section. So the goal is to make it a state and hopefully make a run at state where we can really surprise people and put Owatonna back on the map where we belong. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah,
It's been a while for that. That needs to be done, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yep.
Yeah, people are writing us off right now, and you know what? That's not the worst place in the world to be.
No, it's always fun to be an underdog. So
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, smack them in the mouth.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, and how you were a big proponent and a great recruiter for this program all off season and everything like that. What were kind of, I know like Mason, guys like that, you've been in the ear of a lot of people. What's kind of your main pitch then as far as coming back out for either their senior years or just getting them back into the program? Like what was it camaraderie? Was it, how the culture, what was kind of, or just, getting back into hang, what?
Yeah. There's a little bit of two things. The first one was like, we're a family here. We want to push each other to be our best selves, and whether that's like on the mat or off the mat. And then the other reason was, I don't want them to graduate high school and get to college and be like, man, I kind of miss like doing sports, and I should have maybe wrestled my sophomore, junior, senior, like any year of high school. I should have came back out, and I didn't want them to regret it, and say they inform me when we're at college, that hey, I should have came out and wrestled. I don't want that to be the case. So but
No, exactly. That's kind of the main thing we keep saying is you only get to do this once.
Yeah.
You get your whole
can't
life to
wrestle
work.
forever.
Yeah, exactly. We got it's a great trait to have, but we have a lot of kids that we're talking about how much they just wanted to work and have a job and stuff like that. And it's like, hey, you have 70 years to do that.
Yeah.
Let's this is the fun part. So
Well, I said you got the rest of your life to work.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, thank you so much. I can't, I gush about you all the time. I get to brag about you all over the place to media and everything like that. You really do embody everything of every part of the program of where I want it to be, where I want everyone's level at as far as your character, your academics, and you brought up family. You do make it feel like a family. You do a good job of taking the youngsters under your wing and mentoring. And, you're like another coach out there, which is great. So,
thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
Awesome.
there's one thing I want to say. Listening to all these kids talk here and listen to the coach talk, I think you better, some of these fans, if they want to get back into Owatonna wrestling, I think this might be the year to do it because they're talking some big deals. They got state champions and state runner-ups are their individual goals. And a team, who knows, when you got that many guys wanting to do it, you don't know where the team's going to end up. So there you go. And then this murderer's row, remember them words. We're going to see if it works from 113 to 160 pounds. Maybe some other kids will step in there at 70 and 80, whatever.
Yeah.
But they got a lot of big goals, and I think it's going to be a fun year for Owatonna Wrestling and Coach Johnson.
Absolutely.
So, all right, we're going to take one more break, and then we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to another portion of the Owatonna Wrestling Podcast. Here, Coach Derek Johnson is here with Dad Doyle Johnson, Coach Doyle Johnson. That's going to be a biggie. Tongue twister right there, because I about called you Doyle already once tonight.
Yep. Yeah, we're still hashing out how it's going to be Coach Johnson and Coach...
The real Coach Johnson or...
OG. I don't know. But, I'm so excited to have you back in the program, and just because for obvious reasons on how you impacted, the program before, our own family, Drew and I.
I coached with him for many years, so I know what Doyle's capable of.
So that, kind of goes without saying, but did want to bring it up. But, we're, so this year it's been great because you've been wherever we need you type of thing. And you've been so, eager to do that, to step up. So what's kind of your coaching role or roles for this season?
Yeah, kind of jack of all trades, master of none, I guess. But no, I guess really the role that I see this year, or that I think we've talked about, is more just sharing my experience. As mentioned, as a parent of two pretty successful multi-times all-state wrestlers, I can relate to what the parents are going through, and then several years as youth, middle school, and high school coach as well. As well as, 25 of my 35 years at Federated has been in management, managing teams, and so bring in a little bit of that as well. I think maybe can help out, take the program to the next level with implement what DJ's kind of setting up here.
Nice.
What kind of history? When did you start then? What's your first years?
Swan and I moved to Owatonna in 1988 and got DJ involved in the youth program and the termite tumble.
I remember this little kid about high as this table
If that high.
with
yeah.
these big knee pads on over his jogging pants.
That's right. But look at, while he's got the headphones on, he always wears headgear. He doesn't have cauliflower ear.
0 cauliflower.
Yeah. So
You.
so then, as you recall, then the next year we started the Owatonna Youth Program where each of the schools had their own teams.
Yep.
That was Coach Davis's, I think, second year in town, and
Yep.
and Larry had a team in McKinley, had Wilson Wildcats and Lincoln, and so yeah, that all kind of started back then, and working with the
St.
elementary
Mary's
program.
Washington was the other team.
Yeah, St. Mary's, Washington. That was great. And then as we started that, then Coach Davis asked me to help out with the varsity. It's important to have guys like the Justin Sorensons that come back and can wrestle with the kids. And at that time, I was still under 30 and could do that. And so I wrestled with the varsity a few years, and then also helping out at the middle school with technique for a number of years. So had a lot of fun with that.
That's more important with those kids there.
Yeah.
That technique is so important going into the high school program.
You
Thank
bet.
God.
Really lay down the foundation and the base, and then when they get to the varsity room, it's review and slap on some higher level technique.
Finish
Absolutely.
a move a different way,
Yep.
3 different ways.
Yep. Swiss Army knife it, yeah. Well, and like I said, been an in-house coach for us our entire lives, Drew and I, and coached everything we did, baseball, soccer, football. That's always been a thing, and you have a specific style, which is definitely not drill sergeant, it's not red in the face, it's
But it's
super
offense.
positive.
It's offense.
Yeah, it's super positive, but it's also, like holding yourself to a higher standard, and it's strict in a positive way where it just seems like, it's about doing everything the right way, meaning how you carry yourself, behavior, and everything like that too. So I appreciate that.
He was listening.
Yeah,
Man.
Yes,
I
they were.
rebelled for a few years there, pretty
yeah.
hard. But
We all
no.
do. About
Yeah.
their sophomore year. You know everything, yeah.
Right?
How about your wrestling background? What'd you do in high school or college or
Well,
high school?
I started back in 4th grade. Back then, it was a 5th and 6th grade program, but my dad was the elementary coach, so he let me come in there. But so that's when I got my start with wrestling, and it was that or basketball, and I figured if I could dunk a basketball, I'd do that, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
So
I know
stayed
the
out.
feeling.
Stayed out for wrestling. Wrestled for Sturtville through high school, and then St. Olaf a little bit in college. And yeah, I didn't never achieve the success that Derek and Drew did at the end, but it was more about kind of learning the lessons. And I think that's helped me coach later is, don't overlook your opponent. You don't have to be older than the other kid to win, that type of thing. The same weight, just go get them.
Wow.
Nice.
Good point there. I'll
Well,
tell you.
and you were close though, because those were the section days where they're only sending one to state, right?
Yeah, and it's
Oh,
one of
wow.
those hard lessons where I had to get a kid that I'd beat in the conference finals 9-2 the week before, so I was feeling pretty good about myself and already making plans for what hotels we're going to be at state and all that, and so overlooked them, and I just got demolished in the semis.
You had a lot of
And then he
talent to
lost in the
win.
finals, so I didn't get a chance to wrestle back. And,
Oh.
so it's tough lessons. You got to respect everybody, fear
Yes,
nobody.
You do. Yeah, that's back when there was only one class, is what you're saying. You didn't have 3 classes like there is
We
now.
had to get through districts
4.
and then regions and state.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Districts were tough. And so we had
We had
over
13
8
schools,
hours.
yeah.
And that was always a tough school in Caledonia. That was another tough school, Southeast.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, well, and you touched on a few things here regarding like general coaching style, but what's kind of the coaching philosophy? What are like your main strengths that you bring to the program, and that you're excited to kind of unveil, or have already been? It's a couple weeks into the season already.
I don't know. I think coaching in any sport, the kids just don't care what you know unless they know that you care. And I see you with the varsity that I've popped in twice when the middle school wasn't having practice, and it's obvious you care about the kids, and then they can respect you and listen to you. If they don't think you give a crap and you're just a number, then they aren't going to pay any attention. So I think that's huge. And then respecting both the kids' time and the parents' time. Like at the middle school, practices from 3 to 5. They're going to work, and they're going to work hard. They're doing a great job. 3 to 5, and then we're done. You work hard, play hard, and they know what to expect, and they don't hold anything back. And I think that's huge. But overall, it's mastering that foundational type, those core moves, and getting that done so you can do it in your sleep. You think of football and you don't think about pulling your arm back and then letting it go. You've just done it so many times, it just comes natural. And that's the way it should be for wrestling too. And we got some kids that you can just see they've wrestled a number of years, and it comes without thinking. And that's where we need to get everybody on the base moves, at least in the youth program, the middle school, and when they get to the high school.
Kids do it a double leg takedown and go right for the half, and they'll be down on the mat.
Yeah, you start stringing moves together. That's a lot of fun to see. And like you say, the middle school is a great place to watch that development.
Because they hear you, they listen.
Yeah, they really do. Good kids.
There's one more question on here. I just underlined it. Can you take down head coach Derek Johnson?
Yeah, and thanks for the heads up on that. I told him you need to give me some nice softball questions, and this was one.
I typed that out just because you said give me some nice softball questions.
Yeah, so I was thinking about that, and I thought, I think I probably still could if he'd get down to my weight. We could go. But,
I know.
There you go.
Role reversal.
I think the last time I went with the boys was both of them, and I did take them down, but I had about 50 pounds on each of them at the time. That's been a while ago.
Yep.
It's been a while ago.
Well, that sounds like fun.
You're not going to ask me about my walk-up music?
Sure, I will. You got that?
Yeah.
What are you going to
Let's think about that. Let's listen to the early one. Nazareth, Hair of the Dog.
Hair of the
That's my
dog.
senior year. Google it, listen, look it up.
I will.
That's a good
Hair of
wrestling
the
one.
dog. That's an easy one to remember.
I thought you were going to go country because I know you've been on that kick lately.
That's pretty recent.
Yeah, yep. Okay.
A lot of kids like that one song Eminem did, You Only Get One Shot.
Lose yourself?
Yeah. Lose yourself. That was our team run out, I guess you call
Yeah,
it.
it was
We
pretty
did
appropriate.
Circle.
Yeah.
And the kids just loved that song.
Mm-hmm.
We'd play it during practice all the time. And just fired them up.
Yeah.
Doing sprints, they're just going wild.
You can't play Hair of the Dog for wrestling practice. That wouldn't be allowed. I was in my headphones before I went on the mat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Them headphones changed the music world. Big time.
I had to think a little bit about. I got a lot of suggestions on what our team run out music was going to be because I did want to kind of update it a little bit. And all the suggestions I got, I kept having to remind my coaches. I'm like, hey, everyone is going to hear this. It's like, throwing out all these heavy metal, and like, okay, that song has swearing right off the bat. That one, and so it's like, okay, what's the happy medium of?
Well, that's
that?
good. You're looking for the right song.
Exactly.
And it is very good.
So, well, thank you for stepping up in so many huge ways.
Pat in the back.
It's great to have that type of history back. Like I obviously know how you coach. I know your philosophies and everything like that, and so I love that having more people in the program that are aligned in those things is great because that consistency is building, that culture is building, and I know it takes time. And I'm a very impatient person by nature. That got a cackle out of Coach Veith from Hastings. He's like, you got to give it time. And I'm at state. I'm like, I want to win now. And he's like, it will take time, Johnson. I was like, okay. But
It's coming.
It's great to see. The numbers are up. We have these kids coming back to the program that haven't wrestled in a few years. The feeling's getting there, and we have a new high school on the horizon. I think that's kind of appropriate for the timing too. Trying to get more home meets for the fans, working towards kind of getting back to having that lamp out quite a bit during the season. So,
Well, there's two things I always did with my kids. The first one was patting them on the back. If they did a good job, they deserve a pat in the back. And they didn't, they didn't get it all. They had to earn it. It wasn't just, go out and win a match. You had to really beat somebody good or do something well. You might have lost by 1 point, but the best guy in the state, you don't know. Stuff like that. The other thing that I do is whatever level you end up at I always give the state champions a kiss on the cheek.
Oh my!
Wait.
You guys got that to look
I
forward
always
to.
give, I always give state
I'm trying
champions.
to think back. Like, did I get a kiss on the cheek?
Yes, you
I don't.
did.
Did I? Okay.
Oh man!
Davis didn't know who it was here. He thought it was Pat McCann doing it to him.
And you're not on any sort of government list or
Yeah.
anything.
No,
is that
no,
right?
I'm not.
Okay.
No, I'm not. But the pat in the back is the first step.
Yes.
There you
Get that
Yes.
pat in the back, man.
There you
Beat
go.
somebody big, and you're doing well.
Quite an incentive there, right?
Well,
Oh my gosh.
I guess that about wraps it up.
Yep,
We've
on
had some
that
fun
note.
here tonight.
Yep.
Hey, shout out to my sweetheart, Sue Ann. Love ya. Thanks for your support.
Oh yeah, I got all out
Hey,
from
Ma.
her. For sure. Man, Lynette, my wife too. You know,
There you go.
she was always the backbone. You know, the organizer,
Oh.
get the kids where they had to go because I was at practice most of the time.
Absolutely.
The girls do a lot. They do a lot of behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
So, okay, I guess that wraps it up here for our season 2, episode 1 podcast here for Owatonna High School Wrestling. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.
Take care.